Welcome to Say Like a Champ episode 338. It's your boy A-Dub, and we are back. We are live once again, and not all the way live. This is actually going to be a pre-recorded segment. We had a lot of things going on this week, so I'm going to be holding it down for the boys, for the SLAC crew, and for all of the SLAC family out there tuning in. So you got your boy A-Dub this week. We're going to rock together on a quick show. We're going to hit up a few topics. We're going to talk about All-Star Weekend. We're going to talk about NFL. As we're preparing for free agency. And we're going to talk about a kind of interesting fight in women's combat sports that was announced. I'm excited to kind of see this, and it's kind of like a walk down memory lane, but we'll talk about that. And as always, I want to thank everybody out there for rocking with us each and every week. This is 338 weeks of, bringing you sports talk every single Tuesday. This is our Tuesday tradition. We appreciate you sharing it with us. And I invite you to comment and to like and to share out the show, because it really does help us grow and further our reach, and we get to do even more fun stuff with you guys. So we appreciate that. And leave your comments. We'll be kind of going back around these topics, probably some of these topics next week a little bit more, as we can dive in with the guys, and we want to get your guys' opinions too. But for now, I am going to jump in. All-Star Weekend. So they had the round robin format. It was kind of weird for the actual All-Star game, where they had 4 teams. It was like the Stars, the Stripes, the World, so ended up the Stars winning. They won the final game against the Stripes, and Anthony Edwards was named the MVP. And I think the format is weird because you have like this series of mini games. There was like 4 total games that were just shorter games, like more sprints. So it's kind of weird because they can't really get their juices flowing the same. But I think that some of the young guys were competitive. Anthony Edwards, he's kind of old school-ish as far as like how he tries to compete and his mentality. He wants to go against people and he wants to talk crap and all that. So I love that. And then Wembyama also, he was kind of going hard. So I like that. I want to see, the All-Star game being competitive again. When we talked about it last week, we talked about the fact that like none of us were too excited. And I know it's just kind of not been the same feeling for the last several years, honestly, on the All-Star Weekend side. So that was cool, though. It was cool to see Anthony Edwards get the MVP. And interesting little trivia there. Anthony Edwards got the MVP for the NBA All-Star, and then George Pickens, also Georgia Bulldog, got the Pro Bowl for the NFL. So that's pretty cool, the Pro Bowl MVP. So just had to shout that out, with my Georgia ties. That was some cool trivia there. On Saturday night, the Saturday night competitions, Damian Lillard, he won the 3-point contest. I think that's his 3rd time, which I think they said is a record or ties the record. So that was really cool, but it's kind of weird that he hasn't played in the NBA, but he puts on that Portland gear again, and he's able to go out there and win the 3-point contest. So that's pretty cool. But it's weird how, in the dunk contest, Mac McClung and stuff like that, sometimes you have players that aren't really competing, but they're like the ones winning these all-star things. It's kind of weird. The Shooting Stars Challenge was the Team Knicks. That was pretty cool. They did a good job with that. Slam dunk contest, Kashid Johnson, I think that's how you say it. He won. He did a pretty dope dunk over E40. He jumped over him. It was kind of earlier on in the competition, but that was my favorite dunk that he did, representing Strizzy's Miami Heat. So that was pretty cool. But again, excuse me, the dunk contest just doesn't have the same flavor either. A lot of times I know it happens at every dunk contest, though. It's like, but at some point they just like go all the way back to the other side of the court. They're going to do this long run up, and like they're going to take off from the free throw line and still step way over. I don't know. They need to do something to bring some variety. I know this could never happen, but my wish would be that in the dunk contest, you have to pull off dunks, but they can be sort of regular, but there's a defender there to get posterized. And like, I think that's cool because I feel like in-game dunks are usually like better because you can be creative in the dunk contest, but like an in-game dunk is like, you're also facing competition. It's like super dope to see some guys pull off really good dunks in the game. So that's why I feel like if they could recreate that somehow with a defender, that'd be super gangster. But again, I don't know how that would work. So anyways, Celebrity Game MVP, or Celebrity Game was before that. On Friday, I think it was, and I feel like that's another one where it's like, it's just not the same. But this year they had a lot of actually former NBA players, I feel like, to make it a little bit better. So I didn't watch too much of that, but I did check that out a little bit. I just wish like we could go back to for that one is like the MTV Jam days, like when they had the slam ball or whatever it was called, and they had like the higher rims and everything like that. That would be super dope to see something like that. But anyways, I digress. That was All-Star Weekend, and again, like I guess it was like as expected. But like I said, I did like to see a little bit more competition, so that was pretty cool. That the main guys were a little bit more competitive, even though I wish it would just be East and West, All right. Other topic. I wanted to talk NFL topic a little bit. Free agency is going to be starting March 11th, which, as crazy as it seems, we're blasting through Q1 already, deep into 2026, and free agency will be here before you know it. So I was going to look at some rumors, but before that, Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb both released by the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill, I think it will give him a chance to start somewhere else, but he still has some rehab to do too. So we'll see how he bounces back. But I still feel like he's gonna definitely find his way, and maybe not have the impact that he once had, but he can still do a lot. I think with his speed, as long as he can get back to speed. So we'll see where he lands. And I'm wondering, Anthony Weston, you'll have to tune in from the Chiefs standpoint of the SLAC crew. Do you want him to go back there? You got Bieniemy coming back. Maybe you have Tyreek Hill coming back. What would you think about that? So I'd like to see if the KC fans at least would want to welcome him. Other things they're talking about franchise tags, transition tags, which will happen starting soon. And teams will make their decision on if they want to franchise tag somebody, and then that can give them the option to trade, work on a longer term deal, or just keep them at that number. So far, Dallas Cowboys are looking like they are going to tag George Pickens. I really hope they do, and they keep him, and they figure out maybe a long-term thing, because that offense is really fun to watch with both of them in there, and with a solid running game, which that's another thing that they got to figure out if they're going to get Javonte Williams, try to get him back, which I think he would want to stay at a pretty good rate. So we'll see what happens with some of those players. Kenneth Walker coming off the Super Bowl MVP. Looks like they're saying the Seattle Seahawks probably won't tag him, but they do want to work out like a long-term deal to bring him back. So that would be interesting. But hey, if he doesn't get tagged, maybe he tests the waters in free agency and tries to get a big payday coming off of a Super Bowl MVP. That's pretty impressive, especially as a running back. First time that happened since Terrell Davis with the Broncos a long time ago. So that's cool. What else we got on here? One thing that's I forgot to put on my list, but one thing still I want to keep an eye on is our boy Kyler Murray here in Arizona. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with him. I do think he's gone, but I think that there's not going to be as many suitors for him. But I feel like the weak quarterback class in the draft is going to help him have more options. But we'll see, where he goes, or even like some other sneaky quarterback options like Malik Willis. Like, he's going to be a free agent. He's done well every time he played for Green Bay. Is he going to land somewhere and get a chance to start? That would be really cool for him. So we'll see. NFL is so exciting, even though we just closed up the Super Bowl and all of that. It's just, it's turning into a year-round league. You'll have free agency in March, the draft in April, and we'll be right back at it. So that was pretty cool. The other thing I forgot to mention is I did want to mention the winners. Both Stephanie Washington and August won for the SLAC squares, and Stephanie Washington actually won 2 different quarters. So big shout out to her. She didn't even purchase any; those were just from her winning. The different weeks that she won. So shout out to her. And then my grandma Mac won one. So I always put an honorary square for my grandma Mac. So she was lucky. She always had a lucky streak with gambling. So and no matter when there were squares or somebody selling squares, she would always be like, "Hey, make sure you just grab me one just in case." So I always grab her one, and she actually hit too. So that was really cool. But I forgot to mention that last week. That's just kind of rounding up that the Super Bowl square competition, and again putting a big official bow on the 2025 season. And we'll continue to track the free agency moves and all that as we go forward. But that's pretty much it for NFL talk. An interesting fight was announced today. I think it was announced or yesterday, recently. I just saw about it today. Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano are going to fight, which people are already comparing this to like Mayweather Pacquiao, where it's like this is the fight everybody wanted to see, but it happened, 8 years too late, 7 years too late. In this case, 10 years too late. But yeah, both of them coming out of retirement, both of them essentially moved on to other careers. Ronda Rousey in WWE and in movies and stuff like that. Gina Carano in movies. So they both have been out of the ring for a while. But this is kind of cool to see like a comeback story for both of them. Both of them very respected, obviously, in their sports. Carano going back further, but Ronda Rousey also, she had that tear for a few years where she was just, murking everybody, armbar everybody within the first minute of the fight. She had that intimidation factor, kind of like her own version of like Mike Tyson, where I feel like some of her opponents were half beat before she even got in there until she got broke down. And that's how that goes. And that's what's so great about the fight game is you can only stay on top for so long. But hey, both of these ladies stepping back in the ring. That's going to be May 16th in LA, and that's going to be streamed on Netflix. And this is Jake Paul promotion again, that Most Valuable, or I can't remember exactly what his is, but his first MMA promotion. So he's still getting to the bag, figuring that out, and getting some legendary fights that people are interested in. And Netflix being that number one streaming platform is pretty cool that they're bringing out there too. So we can see it. Get your passwords in order, all that, and should be able to check that out on May 16th. Let's see what else we got. Because I was going to say another rumor-ish type of thing. Tiger Woods. They were kind of checking in on him. He's still in under rehab. I don't know. I want to go back and look at the number. I don't know the number offhand, if I can Google it too quickly. But how many surgeries he's had just since the car accident? He's just undergone so much. But apparently he hasn't ruled out returning potentially even at this year's Masters, which is in April. So that's only a couple months away. If he's that close, that would be so cool. I just want to see him win one more major. I just want to see that happen. I think he's got it in him. I just think that the cards have to, the stars and all of the planets have to align. It has to come together at the right time, but I feel like it's still possible. I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on that one too. Do you think Tiger Woods can win another major? And I try to separate my heart from it because my heart obviously wants him to win one. But even in my mind, I still feel like if everything worked out right, it could happen. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm still hoping, I hold out hope that could happen. So we'll see. But anytime they mention Tiger Woods, it kind of piques my interest still. I love, golf, getting more into it. But, Strizzy is closer to it, and especially Marcus. He's our, golf expert on the show for sure. But, Tiger is still my guy. But Scheffler's doing pretty good, solid start to this year. He had another top 3 or top 4 finish. So it looks like he's ready to dominate again. But yeah, a couple tournaments in, and golf is looking pretty good too. So we'll be continuing to watch that, especially with no NFL too. So we'll kind of key in on that. And that's pretty much it. So again, I want to thank all the slackers for your time, and just be ready. Lots of different things coming up. We'll continue to touch on everything and monitor everything week to week, but we might be having, some shorter shows like this to give ourselves some more flexibility, and also just because, it's a little bit lighter schedule going on. So that being said, we appreciate you guys rocking with us every time. We appreciate the comments, and obviously I appreciate my brothers, Strizzy, Marcus, always holding it down with me. And this time your boy A-Dub's got your back. And again, we will see you next week for episode 339. But until then, it's your boy A-Dub, and it's Taco Tuesday. Peace.